Hey guys, Gabe with Western Pacific Insurance. How are you? So this week we are doing a walking with Gabe, but we'll call it zooming with Gabe since we are staying at home during quarantine. And I thought it would be a great topical idea to have a counselor on as a guest, and you see him here on the screen, which is Matthew DeHaan. So Matthew, how are you?
I'm great. Yeah,
Yeah,
working
thanks
from home
for
as
joining
well.
us. Looks
Yeah,
like you're at home as well.
sure am. Yeah.
I'm actually at the office, but I've been spending a lot of time at home. Everyone else in our office is working from home, so that's been obviously a huge change for everyone. And I'm sure
Yep.
you're probably getting a lot of phone calls on that, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. People are yeah, at home, changes in routine. They're yeah, it's a challenging time.
Yeah. Well, before we get into I thought I wanted to ask Matthew about, I'm reaching out to a lot of friends and colleagues, and this is kind of an interruption in their daily lives, some with feeling a little bit of anxiety levels and whatnot. But before we
Hmm.
get into that, I wanted to kind of tell the folks about a little bit about you and your background and
Sure.
kind of what you specialize in.
Okay. Yeah, great. Yeah, so I started my own practice back in 2015, and I primarily work with adult individuals, and I see couples as well, but on the individual side, I see a wide range of needs. Anxiety, depression make up a lot of it, but also relationship issues, trauma, mood disorders of any kind. Yeah, there's just a lot of stuff that people out there are struggling with, looking for some hope and healing with, and I try to offer that. So, yeah.
And where's your office? I mean, right now I know you're offering Zoom sessions or
Right. So right now I'm doing just video sessions. My office though is in Mill Creek. It's actually really close to your guys' office. So it's just by the post office in Mill Creek there, one off of 164th and Bothell Ever Highway.
Great, great. So you've got relationship stuff that you specialize in, anxiety, depression,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah,
Great,
definitely.
great, great. So how long, tell me kind of where's your background, where are you from? Where'd you
Sure.
grow up?
Yeah, I grew up in the Midwest actually in Iowa, and then I went to graduate school in Southern California, and I graduated in 2011. Then I did my postdoc and residency in Portland, Oregon, and that was from 2011 to about 2013 when my wife and I moved up to Seattle. That's where my wife is from around here. And so to get closer to family, got licensed in Washington State, worked with another group for about a year and a half, and then was also teaching online during that time. And then when I had my most recent child, who's now a 5-year-old, in 2015, then transitioned to my own practice. And so, like I said, I've been practicing on my own since 2015.
Don't you have, do you have 5 kids?
Four. No,
Four
not quite
kids.
five. Yeah, five, four,
Not five,
four is
not yet.
plenty. Yeah, definitely.
Four, that's a lot of
Oh,
kids. Good for
yep.
you. Well, let's get into this whole, since it's kind of in everyone's top of mind with this whole quarantine thing, which is great.
Yeah.
People are being socially responsible. I mean,
Hmm.
how are some of these people? What are some tips or what are some things that you're suggesting with a
Sure.
lot of the folks that are working from home that maybe aren't necessarily used to working from home 5 days a week?
Absolutely. The funny thing is, I think it probably hit the tech sector first, and almost because they can work from home a lot easier. But it's funny because individuals that have worked from home in the past, specifically in the tech center, they've found actually that productivity doesn't necessarily dip as much, but people's moods and their feelings of self-worth when they're not coming into the office, they dip. And so a big thing that even like at Microsoft and big companies with people work from home, they talk about implementing structure, having actually getting up in the morning, putting clothes on, uh, getting into a routine, and having sort of built-in breaks, times to get out and do stuff, because we often take the structure that work or jobs they provide in our lives, take it for granted.
Mhm.
And when you don't have it, you can get to feeling it comes on slowly, and all of a sudden you start to feel really down, and you kind of wonder what's going on here. But yeah,
So
that's often.
so I guess tip would be to, no matter how difficult it is for the folks that are working from home, try to really structure the
Hmm.
time, whether get up, go for a walk, take a shower. I mean,
Yep.
but I've got buddies that have told me, hey, I don't think I've taken a shower in 2 days. So I need
Yep.
to tell them, get up, take a
Yeah.
shower.
And I mean, it's just like on a weekend, of course it's nice to have a break for a little while, but
Yeah.
like I said, I think it's important to get up and to be doing things that regularly motivate you and keep you sort of in a routine and structure, because over time, like I said, a break from that is okay for a little while. But that's actually what I found was the first week or two was actually okay. And it was sort of like a vacation of sorts. But then after a while, people start to, like I said, that feel that little bit of angst and what's going on here, and then it's important to just to try to get back into some structure.
And I would think, the toughest thing probably for me on why I can't, and you can relate, you've got kids, why I couldn't work from home is I've got two little kids, two little girls.
Sure.
And
Yep.
I'll be honest, I love them, of course, as most all parents do, but I want to hang out with them. I want to play with them. So
Right.
setting those boundaries is probably something you've got to really work out with your partner, your
Absolutely.
spouse.
Yep. Yeah, it's for sure. Talking, that's the other thing is you're going to have a lot more family time. And if you don't get those natural breaks that come from work or, what else you're doing outside the house, then you're going to have a lot more of that. And so really talking about what are the expectations, clarifying that, making sure that you're on the same page.
Hmm.
Because like I said, even when I was teaching online, uh, I found that it was really important. You tell the kids, daddy's going to work, you're not going to be able to come and talk to them, right? And so those kind of things are just important to talk about with your kids and your spouse.
Hmm. Now, I think another part of talking to some of my friends that I think are going to have, I don't want to say challenge. Challenge makes it sound negative, but I think couples are probably spending a lot more time than they're used to these days.
Right. Yep.
So,
And
what are some tips or some pointers you could give to those guys that are spending, all day, every day together that used to not?
yep, I think it's really good to talk about the fact that you used to get breaks. And so sometimes now, especially um, every couple is going to be introverted, extroverted, but relative to each other on a spectrum. And being able to talk through sort of, yeah, what are my needs? Do I need recharge time alone? And if so, my going to my room and spending time reading a book or doing something is not my rejecting you, but it is sort of my recharge time. So really making sure you talk about kind of what's going on. I even recommend, couples, if they're feeling like things are feeling sort of crazy, try to plan even a date in the house, but just time where you say, we're going to get away and spend time intentionally talking about us, because you're right, with kids especially, there's not a lot of time to talk about anything of substance, really. You're dealing with the kids most often. So
Yeah.
yeah, just being intentional about it.
And then I think the biggest thing that, I mean, obviously, people being healthy and not sick is the most important thing, but
Hmm.
the impact on our economy with jobs is a huge impact of what's going on right now. And I know personally of a lot of friends and family members that have actually, I don't want to say laid off. Laid off is so negative because it's not really laid off, but is being
Hmm.
furloughed, right? Because of
Yep.
businesses temporarily being closed. That has to have a huge impact on their self-worth and anxiety and whatnot. And what would you say to
Yep.
those folks that are kind of going through that and feeling those stresses for the first time in their lives?
For sure. Yeah. I mean, like you said, that's especially I find for men, there's something about going to work and my identity being in sort of what I do. And that when that's taken away, that can become a real challenge. And that's where, like I said, the planning out, yeah, activities, projects that have to get done, things to do each day. And even if it is like you talked about, incorporating some exercise, but finding things that you can check off and you can actually do throughout your day. And like, yeah, being able to talk and make plans for the future. Really, worry is just that. It's supposed to prompt us to make a plan, to talk about what's going to happen. And once you make a plan, then you can sort of set worry aside, because it's not doing any good anymore.
Right. Well, I mean, I'm not a professional, but I always tell people, why worry about stuff you can't really control?
Yep.
you know,
Yep.
I we
But it is important, like you said, to plan, to talk about, yeah, what you're going to do. Once you've made the plan, or like I said, once you've worked through those plans, the worry has served its purpose. And so it's really important to set it aside at that point.
right, right. So you can tell Matthew does this for a living because of how calm he is.
Sure.
You're always so calm. I don't think Matt, I've never seen you get too overly excited about anything.
Yeah, my wife would say that on the positive side, that keeps me pretty solid in the midst of difficulty, but she'd say she'd like to see me get a little more excited at times. I, I do actually, yeah, actually during this time with my kids, playing around the house, I get a little more excited, which is kind of fun for them. They
That's
enjoy
good.
that too.
That's good. But I think for what you do, I think that's probably totally fitting to stay
Yeah,
totally calm no matter what is said to you, right? To kind of have
for sure.
have
Yep.
that
Yeah,
have that.
being able to, I've seen a lot of different types of really difficult circumstances in people's lives, and so it's easy, relatively, for me to say, these things we're facing, they could be a lot worse. And I've seen a lot of other, really bad things in people's lives, but people I know are resilient and they can work through hard things and get to a place of healing, and that they're often stronger on the other side of it. So,
Yeah, that's such a great point because every time I meet someone and I get to know them, and they'll start telling me about their story and and they tell me how kind of some of the challenges that they went through their
mhm.
life, and I'm like, man, that was rough. But then I'll meet somebody a week or two later that's had it just as worse or worse. So you're
Yep.
absolutely right. People were resilient as human beings.
Hmm.
There's a lot worse that people have gone through.
Right.
I think we just got to stay positive. This is rough for everyone.
Hmm.
Matt and I were talking earlier, and this isn't just we're talking about from an economic impact standpoint. It's not just business owners or restaurants or bar owners. It's every industry you
Yep.
that has impacted because due to what's going on right now.
Exactly. And that's what I was saying to people early on was I would see a wide range of people that, work outside, don't have kids. And they were kind of saying, what's the big deal? This isn't such a big deal. And then I'd see other people in the restaurant industry, perhaps, or with kids home from school. And it's just like, this has impacted every aspect of their life. But now it's actually gotten to that point where even like I think I was telling Gabe earlier, even introverts who said like, I thought they were going to welcome this are finding even those built-in social times without having them, it's tough. And so, like I said, there's just a lot of impacts in people's lives.
Yeah, this is I think for me personally, we always on the weekends, I'm always my wife and I are always doing activities with our kids, whether it's
Sure.
going to the park or the aquarium or the museum.
Yep.
And I know this sounds so ridiculous because we're so grateful that we're not going through worse, but that's been a little bit of a challenge. We're feeling a little bit of not anxiety, but a little bit of I don't know what you call it, but just not being able to do anything, right?
Yeah, just a little bit of tension
That's
there
been a
for
little bit of a
sure.
challenge.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, I know I've seen a lot of people going on walks. I've gone to walks by myself and also with my wife and then with the kids. And that's a nice way to just get out. You see, it actually gives you an ability to see other people out there. Because when you're isolated, when you're in the house all by yourself, you feel like, man, where is everybody? I don't run into
Right.
people anymore. So,
Right. I've been going on more walks than I have my entire life in the last week and a half.
yep.
And then I was telling you earlier, I think the one thing that there's going to be positive, there's going to be good things that comes out of this. And
Sure.
the good thing for me, I think, is it's during my walks, I actually reach out to people on the phone, people that I
Hmm.
haven't talked to in maybe months or years,
Yep.
just to check in, just to see how they're doing, and that's been fantastic and a great experience.
Absolutely. I mean, like, if you just think about the fact that when things like this happen and they're happening nationally, it's not just across our state, but it's across the country. You have some common experience and something that you can connect on and say, "Hey, I just was thinking about you. I wanted to reach out." And that's actually, the blessing of having technology and the ability to connect with people. It is good to kind of go back and say, whereas generally our social circle is like right here, proximity, who's close by, who can I see. Now it's sort of opened up and you can say, hey, that friend from college or a family member that I don't see very often lives far away, give them a call and just check in, because we're all going through something now. So,
Yeah, I think we'll I know we'll get through it. It's just a
sure.
matter of it's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of when we can kind of get out of isolation, and hopefully everyone stays healthy and safe, and we
Absolutely.
will get out of this.
For sure. But yeah, like I said, I think it's interesting to see how, like 9/11, that changed the way we fly. How this has potentially going to impact the way that we do things in different industries. It'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, for sure. I do think there's going to be a lot of changes
Hmm.
that happens because of this.
Yeah.
I think more people are going to maybe potentially work remotely now.
Yeah.
It's going to be really interesting to see the impact when this is all said and done, for sure.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you, Matt. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Appreciate
Thank
your
you,
time.
Gabe.
Hey, guys, I'm going to put Matthew DeHaan's contact information below on the screen. I'll edit this and put it. Find Rest Counseling, offices in Mill Creek. Right now, he's actually available. A lot of people are doing web meeting, Zoom
That's right.
type sessions for him. He's an amazing counselor, amazing person. So please feel free to reach out. And thanks again
Gabe.
for coming and joining us for Walking with Gabe, Zooming with Gabe. We'll
Absolutely.
hopefully in a few weeks or a month or so, we'll get back out on the street
I sure hope so.
walking. Thanks,
Absolutely.
Matt. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Gabe.